Nature is calling. And if you're heading out on adventures alone or with your family, remember to recreate responsibly to help protect yourself, others, and the places we love. When you choose to recreate responsibly, you're doing your part to keep yourself and others safe and healthy. Respect public lands and communities, and take all of your garbage with you. Leave no trace, so we can all enjoy our public lands.
Wow. We are live, you guys. I am coming to you from Colorado alongside Jamie Warner of the National Forest Foundation, who's also in Colorado. Say hi, Jamie.
Hi, thanks for having me, Darlie.
Thank you. And we are really excited to be joining you guys today. I'm so excited to be here in Colorado, filming in beautiful national forests. I'm at a historic dude ranch right now at Sea Lazy U Ranch. I just went on a horseback ride and found out that this ranch is 102 years old, and it's right by the Arapaho National Forest, Jamie, which is so cool. And we actually just wanted to tell you too that we have a feed going that you can see there, so you can see our feed, and actually that's going to move around the ranch so you guys can understand like where we are in the setting, and that there are these places like Sea Lazy U, Jamie, where there are ranches and places you can recreate right adjacent and abutting public land, so you can get out and horseback ride and hike and mountain bike. And Jamie, tell us where you're coming from.
I'm coming to you from Basalt, Colorado, in the heart of the Roaring Fork Valley between Aspen and Glenwood Springs. I'm surrounded on almost all sides by the 2.3 million acre White River National Forest. And man, I wish I was on a ranch on a horse. What a lovely way to enjoy our public lands.
Well, it's so great, Jamie, because, we just want you guys all to know too, I'm not seeing the comments here, but we see that Michael Badger is watching from Los Angeles. Thanks, Katie. And that we've got all these people tuning in from different places. Gary Grimm, hello from Texas. Thank you for joining us. When you guys join tonight, we just want you to know that we love to be interactive. If you have questions for Jamie or me about Colorado National Forest, things to do in Grand County, which is where I am right now coming to you live, things to do on your public lands in general, we're here to answer those questions and also give you travel tips and, just interact with you guys. So let us know where you're coming from. And if you do have questions, we'd love to hear from you. And Jamie, your background is so pretty as well.
Well, thanks. It's the view from the forest is across the valley, but the sun's setting behind the mountains right now, so it's a little hard to see. But I'm looking this way at majestic Mount Sopris, which is close to 13,000 feet rising here over the valley, and that is part of the Aspen Sopris Ranger District here on the White River.
Well, and it's so great. I was able to do a hike on the White River National Forest, which is a bucket list hike for a lot of people, to Hanging Lake. If you guys out there have ever been to Hanging Lake, let us know. It was absolutely amazing, but very high altitude and not an easy hike, I will tell you. If you're looking to do that hike, you might want to prepare a little bit. Thanks for joining us, Wendy Hewitt from Hudson, Massachusetts. And you've stayed at Sea Lazy U. Awesome. Yes. This is my second visit to Sea Lazy U. I'm really excited to be here. And thanks, Rick, for joining us as well. So, Jamie, tell us more about the White River National Forest, because I understand it is the most popular national forest in the forest system.
Well, it's a beautiful place to be. It's a very large national forest at 2.3 million acres. It stretches all the way from Rifle to Dillon and includes Vail, Breckenridge, Aspen, Snowmass, Silverthorne, Dillon. And within that large area, there's a lot of ski areas as well. And a lot of those ski areas actually operate on permits on national forest land. So a lot of folks don't realize that when you're skiing at some of these Colorado resorts, you're actually enjoying your national forest. So the White River has 12 ski resorts and has 8 wilderness areas. It has 2,500 miles of trails to explore, 1,900 miles of Forest Service roads if you're into motorized vehicles. So there's just so much to do here on the White River. And there's several very popular places to visit, including Hanging Lake. I'm so jealous you got up there for a hike recently. And other notable sites on the White River include Vail Pass, Independence Pass, the Maroon Bells, and Camp Hale, which is where the 10th Mountain Division used to train.
So much more to explore. Well, I did the hike to Hanging Lake, and it's, you guys, the lake is beautiful. It is definitely a gem. We did see some damage from the Grizzly Creek fire. It just reminded everybody to really, leave no trace, pack in, pack out when we were there. But I'm telling you, if you go to my Instagram, you can see a reel that I did, just a little video of some of the slow-mo and footage there. And it's just a really stunning location.
It is a really special place, and I know that the fire suppression teams worked very, very hard to save the lake, even though a lot of the areas around it burned. The National Forest Foundation is involved in some really great restoration efforts happening around the Grizzly Creek fire in order to protect and maintain that special place for generations to come.
And Mincy, can we get, I don't know if we see the view of the ranch that's happening. Can we add that in and maybe get the widescreen version of it, the third over? So we can see what's happening, but and we can have us all together. That'd be great. Yes. Wonderful. Like, we just wanted to show you guys this view too of where we are right now, because I'm at Sea Lazy U Ranch, which apparently some of you that are visiting with us today have visited this ranch before. It's a historic dude ranch, and it's right beside the Arapaho National Forest. Jamie, what's some information we would want to know about that national forest? Because I actually just got to ride and have some amazing views of the Continental Divide Trailway in the distance and some really, really neat stuff.
Well, the Arapaho National Forest covers both sides of the Continental Divide, as you mentioned, and is home to several of Colorado's famous 14er peaks, which are any peak over 14,000 feet. And we're currently working the National Forest Foundation on the Arapaho to help maintain those heavily used trails on Gray's and Torrey's Peak, to help keep them sustainable, and because they see a lot of use. Gray's and Torrey's Peak on the Arapaho National Forest sees over 20,000 hiker use days a year, and it's expected to increase 20%. So we're really proud to be working with local organizations to steward those public lands. We also work closely with Winter Park Resort on the Arapaho Basin. They help collect micro donations from guests at their resort, and the NFF works to put those monies on the ground on forest health and recreation projects on the Arapaho. And one more thing that's really cool that we're doing, we work with the Arapaho National Forest and the Mile High Youth Corps on the Front Range Strike Team, which is a youth trail crew that's able to really nimbly hop around and address any issues on the trails on that national forest.
Well, and you guys are seeing a view now. We're at the ranch, and they're about to do a outdoor barbecue. So you're seeing the pool and some other areas. This is at Sea Lazy U in Granby in Grand County, and I'm going to be eating dinner after this, so I'm not going to stay on this live forever, FYI. So if you're joining, you have questions, pipe up, people, because I'm not going to be on here forever. I've got to eat some good barbecue. But I did see a question come in from Kindle Journeys about how much altitude you have over there, and that's actually really interesting. We are at a much higher altitude. I'm from New York City, and I'm not used to being in higher altitude, so it's something I'm getting used to right now. But on the first day, I think I was up around 10,000 or over 10,000 feet on that hike. And now here at the ranch, which you guys can see everybody enjoying dinner right now, it looks, or appetizers at least, they might be waiting for me for dinner. But this ranch has been around for 102 years, again, beside the Arapaho National Forest, but it's at about between 7,500 and 8,000 feet. Is that right? About 8,000 feet. So, a higher elevation, but that's where you get up and you see those beautiful mountain views when you're exploring.
And we always, when we encourage folks as part of our Recreate Responsibly campaign, being aware of the altitude is really important, especially if you're visiting out of town. Take your time, pack lots of water, and just know you'll feel it for sure.
No, I've been packing water. I've been doing those hydration tablets. I'm all in on the acclimation to the altitude, but I'm going to be here for a week. So by the end of the week, Jamie, I will actually be riding over at Winter Park Resort and around the National Forest areas. They are mountain biking, you guys. So I see Gary Grimm is saying this is going to be on your bucket list. That's awesome. We love finding hidden gems, and I know that's what I love about exploring some of our national forests, especially in here in Colorado, is that there are a lot of places that are hidden gems. And Kendall Journalist is saying, yes, it's about 2,600, 2,700 meters. Thank you for the conversion. We really do appreciate that. But so, Jamie, I was excited to come to Colorado. I haven't been here in many, many years. When I was here before, I was in northern Colorado and Durango. Well, and then I was here 2 years ago to be here at Sea Lazy U and explore this area, which is how I decided to come back. And for all you guys out there, one thing I'd like to say is that there's so many dude ranches, Jamie, on these national forests. I was at Latigo Ranch yesterday and enjoying a ride there. It's a family-owned property. Again, beautiful national forest. There's a waterfall. You can ride from the ranch to a waterfall in the national forest. And Jamie, this was interesting. I stood between two places where I was on the Arapaho on one side, and I think it was the Roosevelt on the other.
Perfect. And you know, if you were along the Continental Divide, that's even crazier. You know, if you poured a glass of water on each side, one would end up in the Gulf, and one of them would end up, you know, on the Grand Canyon. So that's fun.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. And so for those of you who are just joining us, I'm here with Jamie Werner from the National Forest Foundation. We are coming to you live from Sea Lazy U. I'm at Sea Lazy U Ranch in Colorado in Grand County. Jamie is at her house where she has some lovely landscaping going on. And we are here to answer your questions about Colorado, national forests, dude ranches, Grand County, all things that we can cover, being travel experts, but also nature experts. But we're also here to tell you how you can recreate responsibly and answer your questions. And we wanted to also let you guys know that you should pay attention to this live, because we are going to have trivia questions where you can win prizes. And I wish I had the prizes with me. I did bring them on this trip, but they're somewhere packed right now, so you're not going to see them. But they're Travels with Darling luggage tags, which I know you're going to love. And Chris, who's working on our crew, is showing you a view of Sea Lazy U Ranch. If you guys keep watching it, it is absolutely beautiful. The sun has not set yet for either of us, both being in Colorado.
The magic hour. It's the evening magic hour here in Colorado.
So, Jamie, what are some other, in the area where I'm going, I'm doing the Arapaho and Roosevelt National Forests. What are some other national forests in this area that you would recommend to folks if they're coming out to take a vacation, or coming out they're driving here from maybe nearby to explore?
Well, obviously my heart is here in the White River National Forest. I've lived here for almost 11 years. And so I'm very partial to this area, the skiing, the hiking, all of those wonderful activities we get to enjoy here. But another favorite of mine is the San Juan National Forest, which you were just talking about. You went and visited Durango. And personally, my favorite forest activity is just taking a nice long hike, but I realize that's not for everyone, especially at elevation. So a great way to see the San Juan National Forest is taking a ride on the narrow gauge railroad that goes between Durango and Silverton. That's a fun, unique way to explore your national forests. And there's another fun train over on the Pike National Forest. It's a cog rail that actually takes you to the top of Pikes Peak. And that's a 14er over there too. So some fun alternative ways to get out and explore those national forests.
Well, and that's so great that you just recommended that, because I actually, if those of you who have been following me for a while, I filmed in the San Juans and did Engineer Mountain, a horseback ride there, and also got to ride the narrow gauge railroad. And it was an amazing experience. So definitely recommending that as well. And actually, Chris, who's helping us to show you the feet of the ranch today, is walking over to see some of the horses. You guys, there aren't that many horses that are here right now by the barn, which is where he is, because they let them out at night. So we just watched them do something called the jingle, where they run down the road to go out to pasture, and they get really excited. But the horses here are awesome. They have a lot of horses, all different types. They even have two or three donkeys that I got to see. And Karen Miller is asking a question, and she's asking, can you tell us about the outdoor spa experience at Sea Lazy U? Well, after today, I have done my third horseback ride, Karen, and two of them were national forest rides. So I can tell you, I hope to take advantage of the spa, and I did last time I was here. But it's really neat because there's a river running under it. There's or stream or river. So you're like an indoor-outdoor tented experience, and they have big soaker tubs. You can get an awesome massage. But it's a really fun experience because you're kind of feeling like you're in nature. And I'm sorry, Jamie, but who do we have here?
No, I'm just looking at this handsome horse.
I know. I rode the most beautiful horse today. You guys, when I post the photos tomorrow, you'll see the sweetest, sweetest horse. And this one is extra curious. So I'm glad Chris is going over to say hello. I hope Chris brought some carrots, which is going to really entice those horses to come over and say hello. But he did. Okay. Good job, Chris, because the horses really do want a treat. But that's such a neat thing to get out and experience our public lands on horseback. You guys know that I'm a huge fan of that. And a really easy way to do it if you're traveling is to go out with one of these ranches. And again, I went to Latigo Ranch the other day where you can ride into the National Forest. And now I'm at Sea Lazy U, and we just did a ride again over into the National Forest. And Jamie, how much of the Continental Divide can you see from National Forest locations? It must be a lot because I've seen it twice now.
Well, the Continental Divide runs all the way through Colorado, and it snakes and turns and takes several different directions, and it's not always where you'd expect. It's kind of a fun trivia game if you're on a road trip driving through Colorado to see if you can guess which ridge is the Continental Divide, and then check it on the map. I was just doing that on a drive to Denver last week.
And also, I would say, if you want to get up high to see those views, Jamie was mentioning different ways, like you can obviously in some national forests you can drive, in some you can horseback ride, in some you can mountain bike. But if the altitude is an issue, maybe driving and horseback riding can be a good way to do it because you're not exerting as much energy.
Really great ways to do it. And another fun way is a lot of those ski resorts that operate on National Forest lands run their gondolas in the summer. So it's a great way to get up high on those ridges, like at Vail Resorts, for example, at Vail Mountain. You can take the gondola up in the summer and walk along those ridges and get those really spectacular views with not quite as much effort.
Well, and that's so interesting because when I was headed here from Denver, we flew into Denver and drove here. And by the way, if you guys are just tuning in, we're actually here filming for a brand new season of Travels with Darlie. And we have a lot of national forests we're covering in this season and beautiful nature areas, which are so popular right now. So this is our first destination for the new season is Colorado. We're also going to Wisconsin coming up, and we're also doing New York State. We're doing Alabama, South Carolina. So stay tuned for lots of amazing adventures. And these will broadcast January of 2022, but you'll be seeing a lot of content before then. And we're just seeing the cutest horses here at Sea Lazy U right now.
Awesome. Well, and Charlie, something that's so great about these old ranches in Colorado is that they help preserve those scenic values in those areas just adjacent to our national forest. You can look out across those beautiful pastures and to the forest and mountains beyond. It's just a classic Colorado view.
Well, and I think it's so great because today, for instance, and the other day at Latigo too, I was on ranch property, but then not a couple minutes down the road, and we were going into the national forest and being able to ride on really endless trails, it seemed like.
Well, and in these days here in the Roaring Fork Valley, as you may know, the Maroon Bells are one of the most popular destinations out there. Some folks bike up there, some folks take the bus, but the T Lazy 7 Ranch offers horseback riding tours up to the Bells, which is just the most unique way to see them.
Well, and I think like we might want to throw in a trivia question here because Jamie mentioned the 14er peaks in Colorado. And actually, Jamie was educating us about some of these peaks, but tell us a little bit about them, but maybe don't give away our trivia answer in this.
Of course.
We have a trivia question for you guys.
Well, so there's over 15 of these 14ers in Colorado, and some of them are pretty easy. It's just more of a strenuous hike, a walk up. Those are the ones that I like to do. But some of them can get pretty technical. So if you're looking to hike a 14er, I always recommend, one of our responsible recreation, know before you go, make sure you know what you're getting into and what to expect. But there's folks out there who take pride in hiking all the 14ers. And that's a really, really fun way to get out and enjoy the national forest. And there are 10 of those 14ers here on the White River National Forest.
There are 10, and we have a trivia question for you about the tallest 14er peak in Colorado. And there's a bonus if you know what national forest it's on. And I just so you guys know, the way this trivia works is the first one to give the correct answer, we will direct message you to get your contact information to send you the prize. But again, the question is, what is the tallest 14er peak in Colorado And if you know what national forest it's on, throw that in your answer. But again, it's the first correct answer. We'll be sending you a prize and direct messaging you. So please share with us. And if you're just joining us, you're seeing horses from Sea Lazy U Ranch in Colorado, which is right against the Arapaho National Forest, where I'm located right now. And I'm just going to show you more of this view here of this beautiful fire that's happening beside me. And right over there, they're about to start a barbecue and have dinner. So it's just an amazing location to, again, look out over the national forest. And Gary Grimm says that he's going to be he's planning a trip here. And Tom Ryerson is commenting on Pikes Peak. What can you tell us about Pikes Peak, Jamie?
Well, it's an extremely popular peak, and it's on the Pike National Forest. And again, there's that cool cog railway, and we're doing a bunch of work with the National Forest Foundation to help improve that trail to the top, because it's a very, very popular hike.
Well,
more on the Front Range.
Okay. Well, and I'm excited to do some other things that are maybe unexpected on national forests on this trip as well. I mean, obviously we're horseback riding. I'm doing some mountain biking and hiking, but we're also doing stand-up paddle boarding, which there are beaches there are beaches that are part of the national forest system, and some of them are beaches that are on lakes, and Colorado has a bunch of those.
Yeah, they do. And here in the Roaring Fork Valley, stand-up paddleboarding on the Roaring Fork River through the North Star Nature Preserve, just east of Aspen, is a really popular activity. And they've been having a lot of moose sightings over there recently. So really a unique experience if you're on a stand-up paddleboard watching a moose.
Well, and I know we have some correct answers out there. So maybe I give you, Mincy Nod, if I should give the trivia answer?
The horse is nodding.
So the answer is Mount Elbert, and it's in the San Isabel National Forest. So if you guys want to get really high, head out to this 14er and explore. And it sounds like such a challenge to explore those, Jamie.
Well, the good news is with a lot of these peaks, there's multiple routes up to the top. So if you want something more challenging, maybe you start in a different place, or you take the more, I will say that the easier hikes do tend to be longer. So it's always a trade-off. Do you want to hike for a shorter time, but steeper trails, or longer and more gradual?
And you guys who are joining us, we have the most curious horse right here who wants to probably either eat a carrot or the camera that is filming him down there near the barn here at Sea Lazy U Ranch in Granby, Colorado, and Grand County. And I'm exploring Grand County right now. And I don't know, Kindle Journeys is calling me a warrior right now. I am a little bit of a warrior. And this trip, we are doing so much adventure activity. I mean, first day hiking in the White River National Forest, doing the Hanging Lake hike, Jamie, going to Latigo Ranch, horseback riding. I'm horseback riding at Sea Lazy U today, and those are all national forest locations. So we're really excited to share this content with you.
Another way that I like to enjoy our national forests, that here, based in Basalt, we are sitting right at the confluence of two gold medal rivers, the Frying Pan River and the Roaring Fork River, just absolutely renowned for wonderful fly fishing opportunities.
Oh, well, and I was actually out fly fishing on the Colorado River this morning, and it's my first time fishing in Colorado, and I thought it was a great way to, again, really connect with nature, because when you're out there fly fishing, it's something that I hadn't really thought about before. You really listen to what's happening. You need to, in order to make sure you're going to catch some fish. You have to really understand your surroundings and even pick up rocks and see what kind of bait you want to use.
Right? So you know what kind of fly to use.
Yeah. And Jamie, just out of curiosity, are you a big outdoorsy person here in Colorado? Because it seems like everyone that I meet is.
Well, there's kind of a joke, right? There's people who are fit, and there are people who are Colorado fit, which means they're really, really athletic. I put myself in the more average category. And while a lot of my colleagues are out skiing extreme terrain and climbing really technical peaks that require protective equipment, personally, my favorite activity is a nice long walk. I like to get up high. It could be a 10-miler in a drainage I've never been up before. And then, you know what? I'll say it, I'm going to get a lot of flack, but I mostly just ski the groomers. But I love it. It's a great way to be outside and enjoy our public lands. I'm not an extreme skier.
No, that's extreme. And we've got we're showing some banners up on screen about how you can learn more about the National Forest Foundation and tips on responsible recreation. And we're also seeing more of the ranch, Tom. They have as we talked about, horses here. They've got some donkeys. I was at a ranch earlier, Bar Lazy J, that had the cutest baby goats, by the way. A lot of the ranches have many different types of animals on them. And a lot of them are historic dude ranches that welcome guests. But you can really get immersed in wildlife right there on the ranch, which is kind of fun as well. And we're seeing some of the tack room, and hopefully Chris will take us back out and tour us around a little bit more as we continue this live. But I wondered, Jamie, too, if you would tell us a little bit more about Hanging Lake, because that is a place that we did have a lot of places I've noticed in Colorado have had devastation from fires, but a lot of them are rebuilding, or they're letting nature come back, and it's coming back so quickly.
And that's a really important point, Darlie, because fire has always been a natural part of mountain ecosystems here in the West. It's important actually to keep our forests healthy. A diverse forest is a healthy forest, and diversity in forest ecosystem isn't just different kinds of trees, it's different ages of trees. And some of our iconic species, aspens in particular, respond really well following a fire. Where it gets tricky is as our climate gets hotter and drier, we're seeing more and more extreme fires. And actually, you can look half a mile here on the hill behind Basalt. There was a fire that came very, very close to this neighborhood a few years ago. So while fires are a natural part of things, as more and more people live near the forest, recreate in the forest, there's going to be more, wildfire human interactions. So the National Forest Foundation does some work to improve safety in what's called the wildland urban interface by doing some vegetation treatments and fuels reduction treatments so we can live and recreate in these communities but still be safe.
And that's why it's so important to recreate responsibly. And the ranch I'm on, you guys, right now, See Lazy You, did have they lost their historic barn last year in a fire. And they're rebuilding though, and they're already open, which is great. And there are areas that are burned out, but then behind me, you see there's this beautiful green. So it's a real mix. And that's the weird thing about fires, which I noticed going around Colorado. They're very hit or miss as far as what they actually touch on. So it's interesting.
Some fire is really great and manageable. And in fact, the Forest Service often uses prescribed fire to keep their ecosystems healthy and to keep communities safe. But part of recreating responsibly, I would say, is a really important piece is being aware of any wildfire restrictions that are in place where you're going, especially as we move into the hotter and drier summer months. Those restrictions may change. So it's always great to know before you go, plan ahead, check in with those ranger stations and ranger districts for the Forest Service before you go, so you know what you can and can't do.
And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the feed we have from here at the ranch, we keep seeing the donkey in the background. So take a look. If you see their little mascot back there, very, very cute. They actually have three. I believe it's three of them. I saw two earlier, and we're trying to see if they're there now. But it's just so nice to be out here with all of these horses. You guys know I personally love horses and horseback riding. I think it's such a great way to explore. And in the background, you can see the barn that they have set up temporarily while they rebuild. And I see the donkey here. But these donkeys are well known if you know this ranch. And again, when you travel around to different ranches and dude ranches, you'll find that there are a number of different animals on the ranch that you can meet, which I think is just a fun part of travel and a fun part of being in a place like Colorado, which I consider, Jamie, to be a place where you get like that wild nature.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing a question in the chat from Michael, if the ski season is still open this late in the year. There have been times when we've skied through Memorial Day weekend here in Colorado. And I know those Colorado fit folks are still hiking up to ski down the uphillers in some places high up on the pass, but the lifts are closed for the season, at least here on the White River. And I also see a question from Connie. Do you still need a reservation for Hanging Lake? Yes, you do. And that's another really important part of Recreate Responsibly. As some sites like the Maroon Bells and Hanging Lake become more and more popular, some of them are operating on a permit or a reservation system. So I know you can go to visitglenwood.com to see if there are hiking permits available for Hanging Lake. And what's really cool is there's two kinds of permits. One is where you can drive and park at the trailhead and hike, but they also offer an option if you want to ride your bike through the Glenwood Canyon Bike Trail to start the hike. So that allows more folks to be able to hike to Hanging Lake while reducing the number of cars on the road and at the trailhead.
We saw bikers on that trail, Jamie, when we were out there, and I thought that was awesome. I mean, it seems that you have multiple ways to enjoy that area in National Forest. And we also did get a permit, and I just have to say, we got the earliest permit at 6:30 a.m. and it was a really good move because we got there before, everyone else started hiking it. So if you're going to go, if you can get an early time, if you're an early riser, I would recommend that. It's a great way to kind of get out there.
And it also is one of those play it safe recreation tips to start early, as we often get those afternoon summer thunderstorms. And you want to make sure you're down and below tree line on your day's hike before those storms roll in.
We actually finished our hike. We were up there for a long time because we were filming, so it takes us longer to do things, a little behind the scenes there. It's not a quick process. So we took a while to do the hike and to film it and to get back down. And right as we got back down, Jamie, you're right, it was probably about 2:30 in the afternoon, and it was a rainstorm coming. So we were happy we got up there for the sunshine in the morning.
That's a smart tip. Get out early out here in Colorado.
And if you guys are joining us now, we now have another trivia question for you. If you've been listening, hopefully you can answer this. And again, the first person to type it into the answer correctly will be getting a prize. We'll be sending you Travels with Darley luggage tags so that when you start moving around, whether you're going local or afar, you can attach this to your bag and either represent the show, woo woo, or use it when you're going through the airport. So the next trivia question is, what's the name of the popular hiking spot on the White River National Forest that we filmed and hiked earlier in our trip that we've been talking about? It's the most visited national forest in the country. Do you guys know what the most visited national forest in the country is? Kind of let us know in the chat, and we will be direct messaging the right answer, the person who got the right answer, to be in touch with you guys to send you the prize. And Michael was asking about bike rentals. I was going to say, Jamie, you probably know more about that being in Colorado than I would.
Yeah, and there's so many bike rental shops depending on the experience you're looking for. You can rent a road bike to bike up to the Maroon Bells. You can rent a mountain bike to either take an easier ride, or a lot of the ski resorts on the national forest, you can take your mountain bike up the chairlift and then ride downhill, which is an option. So those are all great options. E-bikes are becoming increasingly popular. So as part of that responsible recreation, know before you go, make sure you know if e-bikes are allowed where you're looking to ride, because, in a lot of these places, their e-bikes are not allowed on some of the trails. So just make sure you know before you go.
So again, the trivia question is, what is the most visited national forest in the country? If you guys have the answer, let us know. And I know that a lot of you out there visiting with us today are doing a lot of different activities, because we've gotten questions about the spa, about horseback riding, about biking. And wow, there are just so many places. And if you guys have been and done activities in national forests, type it into the chat. We'd love to know where you've been and what you've done, because I have done so many activities on our national forests, and now in Colorado and Wyoming and North Dakota. There are a lot of surprising national forests out there. Shout out to Medewa National Tallgrass Prairie outside of Chicago.
Yes.
What are some maybe places in Colorado, Jamie, that would be lesser known to, well, if you want to share them, because then once you share them, they're not lesser known.
Well, and I'm not going to go with certain spots, but some lesser known, maybe less high profile national forests. The Grand Mesa National Forest is home to the largest flat topped mountain in the world, the Grand Mesa. And it's so large and so broad, you wouldn't think it was the biggest of anything in the world, but the Grand Mesa on the Grand Mesa National Forest is the largest flat top mountain in the world. And home to Powderhorn Ski Area, which is a very charming place to ski.
Well, there's so many great ski areas. I mean, on the way here, we drove through a lot of the Vail area, and a lot of awesome places. And we have another question coming in. Oh, Kindle Journeys has done the Bridger Teton National Forest in Wyoming, which I have done that as well. And that's a beautiful national forest. I got to do a pack there, Kindle Journeys, and it was amazing. And Tim is asking, how about in the winter? Yellowstone in winter, doing a snowmobile adventure. I can give you one quick note that in Latigo Ranch, which is on the Arapaho National Forest, they offer cross-country skiing in the winter. So check that out. That would be a really fun experience.
Cross-country skiing, snowshoeing is a great way, and a lot of these ski areas partner with local nature centers to do snowshoe tours on the mountains, which is a great, just very quiet, mellow way to connect with our national forests in the winter. And I'm loving seeing all these activities coming through, and it takes me back to, what Gifford Pinchot famously said of our national forests. They are to provide the greatest good for the greatest number for the longest time. So it's just, we just are so lucky to have such a diverse, not just kinds of forests, but ways we can enjoy them.
So many ways. And when you guys watch the episode that we're creating now in Colorado, you're going to see us mountain biking, me, stand-up paddleboarding, horseback riding, and hiking. And I will tell you, I'm already exhausted, and it's like third day in. So by the end of this, it's going to be really interesting if I can walk myself to that flight. But I am doing what people in Colorado do, which is get outdoors and enjoy the beautiful mountains and the scenery here. And I see Marion has chimed in that she's been to the Great Smoky Mountains, which is a beautiful place. And we're just loving hearing about all the great national forest adventures here in Colorado. And Jamie, I wanted you to tell us about a special event that's coming up that we can all celebrate national forests during.
Yes, it's our big celebration. It's our third annual National Forest Week is coming up. It's going to be July 12th through 18th this year. We're getting ready to kick things off with the save the date. We're going to have a virtual kickoff event, which please tune into that. We will have a photography contest. We'll be selling a limited edition t-shirt. I'm rocking mine from last year, and I cannot wait to get my new one for this year. So those will be coming out soon. So just make sure to stay up to date by visiting nationalforestweek.org. And that's just a great, July 12th through 18th will be a great opportunity to celebrate all of our diverse national forests. And did you know there are 193 million acres of national forests in the U.S.? So plenty to enjoy. And the theme appropriately for this year is explore it all. So, with 193 million acres, there is plenty to explore. So follow along, we're at Instagram at National Forests, and visit nationalforestweek.org for more information on the fun activities coming up in July.
And I'm excited to celebrate National Forest Week. And I think we have an answer for our trivia question that was earlier. It is the White River National Forest is the most visited national forest, and it's located in Colorado. So, if you guys come to Colorado, but the White River National Forest is so diverse. It's large, Jamie.
It is really large. And I'll tell you a little fun fact. It gets a lot of those visits from the ski areas. And if you remove ski area visitors, I think one of the second or third is the Arapaho National Forest. So you and I are representing right now some very, very beloved and well-known national forests.
Yes. And Michael Badger was asking about whitewater rafting. Michael, from what I've learned so far in Colorado, first of all, there are tons of great places. And again, a lot of these ranches, I was at a ranch yesterday, Drowsy Water Ranch, that takes people out. They have whitewater rafting excursions, but there are a lot of places to do whitewater rafting here. Jamie, do you want to share some information about that?
Sure. And you might have seen, they're being extremely cautious in Glenwood Canyon this year as things settle after the fire, but the Upper Colorado is a great place to raft. The Roaring Fork River is an amazing place to raft. And there's the rivers like the Poudre up on in the Boulder area on the Front Range. There's a lot of great rafting there as well. And also kayaking, or if you're into something more mellow, some of the more mellow stretches you can rent. They're called little duckies. They're little inflatable kayaks that are fun to get out on as well.
So fun. And, we're having some great comments. Mindy was saying that she loves Sea Lazy U. Wow, this is a ranch that's so well loved, which is why we are so glad that though they had some damage from the fire, they did lose their beautiful historic barn, but they are rebuilding it. But it's already filled up. It's packed here at the ranch as far as the capacity. I mean, there's never that many people because it's a small dude ranch. But I'm really excited that the community and the National Forest folks and everyone banded together to help keep this ranch intact and moving on. And there's a lot of places like that in Colorado. Sarah's saying that the food is really good. It is really good. I'm excited to be eating dinner after this, Sarah. And Tim is asking about backcountry camping, which again, there's a lot of backcountry camping as well and on our national forests.
Yes, and honestly, that's one of my favorite ways to enjoy the national forest is getting out on a backpacking trip, and the more nights the better. Sleeping out in our national forest is so special. Again, it's just making sure before you go that you're prepared, you have everything you need. Don't forget your sunscreen, all of those normal things. In some of the more popular areas, again, some places do have a permit system. So like the famous 4-pass loop in the Maroon Bells Snowmass Wilderness area. It's a beautiful loop that goes over 4 passes over 12,000 feet. That is starting to get popular. And so, I know they're talking about a permit system there. Conundrum Hot Springs is by permit only. So you just need to make sure that if you are going backcountry camping, you are aware of any restrictions in place, fire restrictions, making sure there's water nearby, all those backcountry safety things.
And I would say too, again, Latigo Ranch, where I was the other day, which is on the Arapaho National Forest, they take you out on pack trips if you're staying there. They usually offer 1 night pack trip for guests, and they do some backcountry camping. And I was really excited to hear Randy, the owner, tell me about how they really practice leave no trace there, especially for their camping. Like once you go out there and they camp, you can't tell that you camped at that site, which is really great.
It should never be any other way if you're camping in the backcountry.
And Doug is telling a shout out to Sea Lazy U. Doug was a former staff in 1988 and a guest in 2004. That is very cool. Doug, we're seeing these images of the horses here at Sea Lazy U, and I got to ride a beautiful horse earlier over to the Arapaho National Forest and just look at the Continental Divide and the snow-capped mountains. It's super gorgeous. And Kindle Journeys is asking about the high altitude and the weather. Well, as you can see from Jamie, it's a little warm over where you are, right?
No, it's actually a really nice evening. A lot of evenings here, even in the summer, you do need a fleece, but we are moving into that beautiful warm summer season. As always in the mountains, the weather can change like that. We got a significant snowfall here in Basalt last June, second week of June. So you never know what's going to happen. It starts to get cooler in earnest around October, which is another really special time to visit our national forest, at least here in central Colorado when the aspen trees are turning and you start to get that nip in the air. But I mean, you see Darlie, she's sitting out there by the fire. I'd sit by a fire right now for sure.
Yay. Yay, Sea Lazy U. It's beautiful here. And I love the fire. And Bill's saying he likes my hat. It's a Colorado hat. I've got to represent while I'm in the state. So thank you. And thank you for joining the live, Bill. And Tim is asking about the hot springs. I'm actually near Hot Sulphur Springs, Jamie. I don't know if you know much about that, but they have hot springs in the town.
That's amazing. And we have some along here too. And like I mentioned, the Conundrum Hot Springs, yes, you can go enjoy those. But again, that one got so popular, you do need a permit to go hike out to Conundrum Hot Springs to visit those.
Well, and if you guys have any more questions, we encourage you to put them on now, because I'm about to take off to have a barbecue over there by the pool at the ranch, because we are having some outdoor grilling tonight, and I'm super hungry because I've been horseback riding today and doing all these I fly fished this morning. Jamie, what is your evening looking like?
Well, right now I'm just looking across at the sunset and over the valley. We'll probably fire up our grill here on the deck too, but probably not as exciting as that. And then maybe, and I saw someone mention this as one of my favorite lower key activities, a walk along the river this evening.
Yeah, that's the wonderful thing about Colorado. And you guys are seeing some of the awesome horses here at Sea Lazy U Ranch, which is 102 years old, has been around for such a long time. And this is my second time getting to visit this destination. You guys know me from equitrekking, that I've visited so many great dude ranches, and so many of them are on our national forests. And this one is in a beautiful location in a valley in Grand County, Colorado, in Granby. And Tim is saying that living in high altitude in Utah, we had a snowball fight Labor Day. Well, that's a little bit crazy. The weather, you just never know now. What
you really never know. You have to be prepared for anything. I'm glad we both had this beautiful evening to enjoy this live, because we did have some thunderstorms the past few days.
Well, we just wanted to thank you guys for joining us tonight and enjoying learning about our national forest, learning about Colorado, learning about my trip through Grand County to film for a new episode of our PBS series, Travels with Darley, which we encourage you to check out on PBS, on Create TV, on Amazon Prime, on Ovation TV, and the Journey app for free. And we just, I'm so thankful, Jamie, that I was able to join you from Colorado, and you're in Colorado, and we're both enjoying national forest in Colorado and so passionate about it. And I just want you to remind people about National Forest Week coming up.
Yeah, National Forest Week coming up July 12th through 18th. Check out the nationalforestweek.org, nationalforestweek.org for more information. Also, please visit nationalforest.org for more information about NFF's work on our national forests. We work throughout the country, not just here in Colorado. So I'm lucky to be here in Colorado chatting with Darley today, but we have staff working all across the country on conservation and recreation work on our 193 million acres of national forest.
And if you guys want to continue to follow along on my national forest adventures, I'll be posting here on Facebook at Travels with Darley, on Instagram at Darley Newman, on Twitter at Darley Newman. You can even find me on LinkedIn at Darley Newman. And I will answer questions that you have. But we're going to be posting for the rest of the week and into next week as well from these adventures as we film a new episode. And we really appreciate you guys joining us and for your interest. And we loved having the views of Sea Lazy U here. It is a stunning, stunning location here in Grand County, Colorado. And Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. And I've loved seeing Sea Lazy U. I want to come visit now. Sign me up.
You definitely want to. And I can't wait to go and see what dinner is tonight. I'm loving the food in Colorado as well. I'm definitely eating some hearty stuff coming up in order to fuel up for tomorrow, and drinking a lot of water because of the altitude, FYI.
Oh, yes, it's the best tip probably you could give.
Yes, hydrate. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to sign off and say goodbye to you tonight. And we look forward to connecting with you again online and everywhere else that we are as well. So thank you so much.
Darley, enjoy the rest of your time in Colorado. Thanks for having me.
Jamie. Yeah.